All right, so today we are finishing this lion. I showed you how to do the nose video. That will be out and already out. And now we're gonna do the lion's mane. So it's kind of funky because it's a loop stitch, and I don't know if everybody knows what a loop stitch is, but based on what I learned how to do loop stitch, I will show you. So on the face, you're gonna count from the center of his nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and it's going to go between 7 and 8. And then from here, I'll just mark it with there. From your eye, I counted this strand right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is where we're going to start. I'm going to stick my hook in there, and then I'm going to pull up a loop first. So just kind of hold on to it and pull up a loop. There. Keep a little tail. We'll tuck that in later. So I just kind of hold it down with my finger. And I showed the loop stitch with somebody else, and it was very confusing. So a video, I think, would be easier for everybody to see. So I'm going to stick my hook into the next stitch underneath it. And when you do a loop stitch, my fingers are kind of like this, and I just wrap it over. So you want to pull for this strand. So normally, if I was to crochet, I would not be pulling the back loop over here. I'd be pulling the front loop. So the back loop, you grab onto it, and then you just pull it through. Ooh, I keep slipping through. Hold on 1 second as I'm trying to grab it. The first one typically is the hardest, because once you've got it anchored, it's in there, and then you slip stitch it into that other loop that was on there. This is something you can control, so you don't have to have it this big. I don't want it this big, so you pull on your hook to kind of bring it back down. You can always make it smaller once you've made it. You cannot make it bigger once it's like slip stitched. It's like really hard to do. You would have to pull it back out and redo the loop if you don't like how long or how small it is. So then you just keep going. So then I go on the next one, fold it over, grab the back loop, see how much easier it is to grab it the second time once it's already anchored. And then I like to use the loops as kind of a gauge. So like once I get the first one I like, then the second one I'm kind of measuring off of it, pull it a little bit, make it about the same. It's okay if they're not perfect because it's a lion's mane, nothing is perfect. You're gonna keep going all the way around until you have 27 little things. I guess loops is what I want to call them. I count these little stitch things that as we're going, this is going to make a line because they're slip stitching. So I've counted these little V's, and I've count 27 all the way around. And once you get all the way around, you're going to do something else, which I will show you. So when you've made it to 27 loops, we will come back and I'll show you what to do next. All right, so I'm on about my 24th stitch. So I'm going to keep going. Grabbing it, pulling it through, little slip stitch there, making sure it's about the same. That's 25. Here's 26. Get that out of the way. And 27. This loop stitch is definitely time consuming, but when you're done with the mane, it'll be awesome. So another thing I like to do is when I make my first round of pound, I look down at the bottom to see, does this look about the same as either side? Because if this one's down really far here and this one's not, that would look silly. But I think I've got it pretty even from my eyes, but it's okay if it's not perfect. The mane will hide it a little bit as you're sewing it on later. Okay, so now that I'm down here, I need to kind of turn it, but you're not just turning the whole thing and starting back up this way. I kind of do like a side stitch. So like from this round to the next round, I kind of put my hook in, and then I'm going to do another loop stitch right here because it makes it a little more full. And I just get that right out of the way, and I turn it fully now, and then I just keep going up. So right where the yarn is coming out is where I'm sticking the hook every time, and then I'm loop stitching, and now I'm turned. So now I'm going back the other way. So in front of the ears, you'll be making one pass, turning, another pass, and turning, and another pass. So when you're back down here, that's when we're going to go behind the ears. So you're just going to follow it all the way around until you get back to this other side. You're going to do another little side kind of stitch and turn and go back in front of the ears right here. And I can show you as I get done with this row, and when I'm close to the ears, I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so now that I'm back down to the end, I'm going to show you again how I'm going to turn. So this is where my yarn stopped. I'm going to stick it in there and kind of go sideways. Do another loop, slip stitch that in. And I always pull the loops up because they're out of the way when they're up. It's a little long, adjust it, and then I'm turning it. See how I'm rotating the head around because now I'm going to be turning it. And now I'm going back up the other end. And all the loops, I always pull up. If you pull them down, they just kind of get in the way and it does a different shape on the head. We don't want to do that. We want them up. So just keep going. More loops. Keep going. As you go, you're kind of going to get into a rhythm, and then you won't really have to adjust your loops as much because they'll be pretty even. But it's okay if it just kind of falls off that hook like it always does on mine. It's okay, you can just stick it back in. But that one was pretty long. But I've kind of figured out how to hold the loop by now, so that way it just kind of is the right length. I don't really have to mess with it as much. All right, so at this point, I'm in front of the ear, and it gets a little weird because like you're trying to hold these down, trying to hold the ear back, but I promise you it's worth it. I did it without putting a line here for the mane, and it just didn't look right. So we're gonna put it in here. You just kind of hold on to it, keep going down the line, keep adjusting your loops, but it's right in front. So this is the last line we just did. I'm back going this way. Just keep going in the same straight line, or the same round, I should say. Make sure that this is never crossing your hook. Sometimes it does as you're trying to maneuver. Just scoot your hook back out of the way and then keep going with your loops. My loops tend to be a little bigger when I'm in front of the ear because it's hard to hold on to the yarn the same way. Just kind of edit it back down so it's the right size. And you just keep going. So I'll see you back here when I need to turn it to go behind the ears. All right. So now I'm at the end of the ears. We've put 3 rows technically in front of the ears. Now I'm going to put it to the side. We're going to start the turning process of going behind the ears. Make sure that loop is up, turning my product. Make sure the loop is up again. Ooh, that one's a little big. Let's adjust that one. And then I'm following this line now. This line. So you're going to hit back here of the ears. Okay? You're going to be going all the way around now, back and forth. For the total number will be 7 rounds. We did 3 in the front. You're going to do 4 behind the ear. And then once you do that, we're going to start going all the way around. So that way when you're sewing it on, down here it doesn't look naked. We don't want the whole thing to be like that. At some point we want it to fill in. So when you have completed 4 of these rows behind the ear, we'll come back and I'll show you how I'm just going to keep going around in the circles. Okay? All right, so now that we have done the 3 rows in the front of the ears and the 4 rows behind the ears, you're not going to turn when you're done with your 4th one. You're just going to keep following the line all the way around. And because we did a continuous round to make the head, if you just keep following that line, it'll keep bringing you all the way to the center. It'll get a little tight as you get going, but just keep pushing it backwards and making it so you can see it as you go. So as I get closer to the center, when I have maybe this much left, I will come back and see how you guys are doing, and you can see where I'm at and how it looks. All right, but like I said, you just keep continuing with the line instead of turning. Put that loop back up there. Keep going with the line. You don't have to turn it this time because you want to fill in the back of the head. So the part that doesn't have the hair will be where we're sewing the head to the body, and that will be on the pattern. So I'll see you guys back here when we get to the center. All right, so we are back to look at this little bit that I have left. It's getting a little harder to see. I just keep all my fingers holding everything back. So you're just going to keep going around, following the line as best you can. At this point, yes, we're following a line, But we're also trying to just cover up this spot in the back. You don't want them to really be able to see it through the hair. I mean, like, if I'm parting these loops and I see a little bit, then that's one thing. But, like, I don't really want them to see it from when it's just standing there. So we're going to keep patching this up as best we can. It gets harder to see. But like I said, just keep moving things around and keep covering it up with these loops as much as you can until you get to the center. And then you're going to fasten off and then pull it through the center. But as you can see, even I'm having a hard time making sure that it's out of the way. And my cameraman is zoomed in quite a bit, so that way my hand is hitting him as I'm trying to video. But that's neither here nor there. Just keep going until you don't see any more patches. This is kind of a tight loop. I must be caught on something. Let's pull that back out. Let's fix that. This is quite visible. I don't want it to be visible, so I'm going to cover this up with a loop. Keep pushing the loops up, going around. I still got the center right here. At some point though, I kind of push it up through the center. So this is actually the center of the back that I'm now pushing the hook through the center, and I'm just gonna, I think, try and make these loop stitches around the center. So I'm just shifting it over a little bit, but my hook is still in that same center spot as I'm still making the loops and pulling it back down and slip stitching it through that other loop, and then pushing the loop out of the way, shifting it over a little bit, turning the head a little bit, trying to get it as best I can so it's covered. Some of it's a little tight because of how I closed it is really tight. But just do the best you can, and when you think that it's covered enough, then like I said, you're going to fasten off. I think this one's going to be maybe one more because I could see some over here. But when you pick the head up, it should be more covered. This loop's in the way. Keep trying to wiggle things around so you can see it better. It's okay that the loops in the back are a little smaller than maybe the rest of it, because they'll all fill in nicely. All right, one more right here, and then I think this will be it. Grab it, pull it through. Woo! I lost it. Don't worry, we can find it again. Stick it back in the same spot. And then here's my last loop. It just is not wanting to cooperate, which is okay, because I can just pick it back up with my loop. All right, so now it's pretty closed in. It's very little that you can see. So what I'm gonna do is fasten off, and the way I fasten off is always to just kind of make a little chain one, and then I cut it. Does not have to be a big line. Pull it through, bring the knot back down, and then I kind of go through here somewhere, and I'm gonna try and get to the middle as best I can because I don't want to pull it up in a weird spot. This one's kind of okay. Grab the loop, pull it back down through the head, so that way that one strand that's not a loop is gone. And then as you kind of move the hair, I stick it back in because we kind of pulled the center out a little bit to make it kind of like a bulge. But look at that hair, it's all filled in. You can't see the middle. You don't even know where it is. And this is your finished mane on the lion. It's okay that it has this nice line because it looks like that's where the hair is. You can't see the face or the colors underneath. I mean, if I'm pulling at the loops and I can kind of part it, I could see things, but it's not that big of a deal. It still kind of covers. And then this section down here is where we're going to be sewing it to the body. And once you get this one in, flip it back over to the front where we started. Here's my little leftover one. We're going to do the same thing. Stick it back in here, and you're going to pull it under so that way it doesn't show or it doesn't come back out. I'd hate to leave it out and then it starts to like shed on my customers. That makes people think that it's falling apart. So that's it, and that's how you make this lovely lion.